Welcome back to Unanimous Decision Podcast. I am your host, D Palm. You can follow me on Twitter at DPalm66. You can follow the show on Twitter at UDPod. We're brought to you, of course, by the great folks at the MTR Network. It's a great place to get all your entertainment news, movies, television, video games, podcasts, and more. Follow them on Twitter at the MTR Network. You can find our bevy of podcasts everywhere. Fine podcasts are given away for free. Follow. You can make sure you go and subscribe in the iTunes store for the Unanimous Decision Podcast. When you subscribe, leave a 5-star review. It'll get read on the air. If you have something more you want to say to us and want to make sure it makes the air, you can email us at udpodcast@gmail.com. I think that's all the business. We're back. We got one more podcast for the year's over. And I'm not going to do an intro for you. You don't get an intro anymore after what you did on my timeline today. We got Kriss here.
Wait a minute.
MTR Network. You know him from Super Tuesday and Sanity Check, Character Corners, and every damn thing else. What up, Kriss?
I'm a little offended I don't get an intro.
That was I said I wouldn't give you an intro, then I gave you an intro.
Right. Okay, I'll take it back. All right. I told people we weren't doing any more shows after the last Numbered and Sanity Check. Shannon and the Doctor just did a Super Tuesday. You're like, oh no man, we still got to do that that Unanimous Decision, and I still got to put up our 2017 movie preview, which is going to be hilarious, folks. Like, you guys got to listen to that shit. We get D-Palm to rant about Transformers. It is fucking awesome.
I think I committed a crime.
You did. You did. You definitely did. You definitely did. That will definitely be used against you in a court of law. But it's okay. We will be character witnesses for you.
I do appreciate y'all going on your way and looking out for your boy like that, man. That means a lot. Kriss, so I know that you're not hosting today, so you get the multitask. And I hope that if you're listening to us, you're listening to us on Tweaked Audio Earbuds. It's the number one place you can get all your audio needs taken care of. They've got a great deal right now. You use the code REVIEWS. It's 33% off all earbuds, and it comes with a lifetime free warranty. Make sure you go there, support them, support the show. Also, hey, it's after Christmas. You're probably doing some returns, some more shopping with that Christmas money. You're going to go to Amazon and buy it anyway. Go to the mtrnetwork.net, and make sure you go through that site, go through our affiliate link, buy what you want to buy, and help out the podcast, help out all the shows. Let's get right to it. Kriss, I saw you on the internet this week, man. I saw you talking about Joe Mixon.
Dude, I'm tired of this shit, man.
I am too. But I want to get to there's levels to this because Mixon originally, like people said, oh, well, now the video's out. First things first, I want to get this in the bud right now. If you hear about a man hitting a woman and your image in your head isn't that video, what the fuck do you think happened?
Yeah, I mean, there's only been one video of a man and a woman getting into a physical altercation that's ever looked out good for the man, and that's been Solange beating the fuck out of Jay-Z. Like, that's it. Like that. Pockets. Like, you gotta pull a Jay-Z. You gotta pull a Jay-Z. If you're not gonna pull a Jay-Z, then that video is not gonna help you out
at all.
It's not. You guys sit there and take it, and that's like I don't care. And I also want people to understand that they did not release. He did not ask for the video to be released. They were sued to have their video released. Right. So let's not give him all this credit for being, oh, he's just a great guy and he wanted video to be released so that it'll help him. No, that's not what happened. Not what happened at all. Not what happened at all.
Yeah, it's not what happened at all. And to his credit, not to his credit, but just to get all the facts out there, Joe Mixon from Jump Street has been very apologetic about this.
Mm-hmm.
He is the things we say we want in an athlete or someone, especially a kid. The things we say we want the reaction to be, he's done it. They did a press conference after the video came out. He said that, obviously he didn't want the video to come out, but he wished it had come out sooner so that the healing process could start for everyone, which I agree with. The young lady who was the victim in the case released a statement after the press conference ended. It reads as such: Mia Moltier acknowledges the apology and statements made by Joe Mixon today, as well as Mr. Mixon taking full responsibility for what occurred on July 25th, 2015. We are optimistic that today's events will help in the process of obtaining closure for those involved and ultimately in the resolution of all other matters related to that night. If you're saying right now that this kid's done his penance and I'm ready for a second chance for him, that's where I am. However, we've had assholes come out the woodworks and give us all these lists of reasons the times it's okay to hit a woman.
Yeah, see, that's my thing. Like, maybe he has done his penance, but the assholes are making it so I don't really give a fuck anymore.
It's keeping me from acknowledging the kid's growth. These assholes are doing it.
Because here's the thing. Because people go, well, he paid his he really didn't pay anything, all right? He got community service. He broke a woman's face. Let's be clear about what happened, all right? She pushed him. And you're never going to get me to feel that a college or any kind of athlete who is pushed by any woman, I don't care. I've heard people go, what if it was Ronda Rousey? I don't care if Ronda Rousey pushes you, okay? You're not going to convince me that a college athlete, not a professional athlete, but he's an athlete.
He will be a professional athlete in about 3 months.
Right. That person ever felt threatened by a small woman and felt like that was defending himself. Like, get the fuck out of here. Yeah. I'm sorry.
I'm with you 100%.
Yeah.
But I also don't think that I also think that if we as a society we can't say at a certain point he has shown contrition that we allow for second chances.
And you know what? And the thing about it is maybe that's true. I was never able to get to that point.
Right.
Because as soon as I saw the video, I was like, oh, that was disgusting. Well, she hit him for. Are you serious right now? Like, I never got to the point of.
From? Because I don't think the people you and I interact with on a regular basis, but all of a sudden I go to your Facebook page and your comments are a dumpster fire.
Well, you know what it is, man? It's I'm still cleaning up my Facebook wall and my Facebook friends from people from college and from people from like early years who just haven't grown.
Right.
And you can tell that they haven't fucking grown, and they really honestly think that a woman is that if a woman puts her hands on a man, well, she's just as responsible for what happens to her. That whole thing. Well, you come at a man like a man, then you deserve to get hit like a man, like that shit. And it's really fucking sad and disgusting. And I really need people to start doing better because I'm just tired of it, man.
There's really no excuse at this point. It's damn near 2017, and you've got these Neanderthals telling you it's okay to club a woman. Like what the I don't get the mentality. And I hate when people say, imagine if it's your sister, imagine if your daughter. Who gives a fuck whose sister or daughter it is? Why are you dating a woman?
Right.
What?
Right.
You know the list of things a woman can do to make you hit her? Maybe hit you with her car?
Yeah. Like, it's just one of those things.
You got other problems.
Right.
Like, you've been hit by a car. Go to the hospital.
The minute you start having to go through excuses and times that it's okay to hit a woman, like, what if there's a child in danger? What if she's coming at you with a knife? Like, the list of that little that I honestly don't want to hear about it. Like, that's really what it comes down to. It's just, it's so small, it doesn't fucking matter. It just doesn't. And I think that's my problem. It's like that people make up.
What if you're Superman and she's got a kryptonite battlesuit on?
I know.
And she strikes you about the head and chest, but you didn't expect it, so you lashed out irresponsible. Like you didn't mean to hit her. She just had all that kryptonite on, Kriss.
I know. It's just sometimes you just never know. I mean, you just got to hit a bitch, right? It's annoying. And I think the larger issue to me is like, and that's what it came down to with the Joe Mixon thing. Like, again, maybe he has learned from it and he's moved on. It's better. It's time to move on. The problem I have is the same comments. The same people going, well, he's learned from it, and just leave him alone and move on. These are the same people that defended Ray Rice. Mm-hmm. These are the same people that defended Chris Brown.
Right.
These are the same people. Like at no point do they ever really does the argument ever change. Like there's never a time when a man is wrong for hitting a woman.
Right.
It's just it's never that time. There's always a legit excuse for it sometime, and I'm just tired of it. And you pull it out, you point it out to them, And they're like, oh, no, it's different. And I'm just tired of it. Like, I point out, hey, your comments are the same comments as the reason why cops say it's okay to hit, to beat unarmed black people. Oh, no, it's different.
And people not seeing the overlap there and it goes back to Rod's tweet from a couple of months ago that pops up on the timeline about every other day. Straight black men are the white people of black people.
Yeah, what's been worse though than this is black men. I've seen, and again, we see this all the time. We've seen it when we talk about cops and black people, seeing black women actually come to this defense, and you realize that again, the way society has treated women is gotten to the point where just like the way society has treated black people, you start getting people internalizing that being a victim, and they think it's okay. They think it's normal. They think it's okay. They think it's rational to think like this. Oh, well, no, obviously, she deserved it.
And that's what kills me. And you're 100% right, because, and I explain, and people, and you get the racist arguments. Well, if a black guy says this, and he agrees with me too. Like they'll cite like one of the like GOP black chick or someone or a Stacey Dash. I don't know why people say Stacey Dash, but they do. Or fucking Jason Whitlock, who, welcome to the podcast, we hate him here. As reasons why anti-blackness is okay, I say no. That's just proof of how good the conditioning is that you convince these black people to hate themselves. That's how good our patriarchal conditioning is. We convince women to say she shouldn't have talked back or she shouldn't have hit him first.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it's people are like, I don't get, what do you mean by poison or toxic masculinity? I'm like, that's literally it. It's infected these women to think that there's a reason it's okay to get hit.
Like, there's a bunch of, whoa, she probably said something. She said something racist to him, and she pushed him. And I'm like, listen, at this point, I can't even address that, because we have not gotten to the point where you see a video of a man hitting a woman, and we all can come to agreement that that's wrong. So at that point, it's just like when you have cops shooting on black people, and we go, well, you shouldn't have run, or you shouldn't have done this illegal thing. I can't even get to that point, because we can't even agree when there's a good situation, like the Ray Rice situation. I literally had somebody try to use, she was like, whoa, no, she spit on him, and I'm like, dude, that's not what the video showed.
Right.
The video didn't show that. And he went on this whole thing, and then finally goes and watched the video, was like, okay, yeah, you were right. I'm like, see, this is why I can't have a conversation with you. You were already by default going to side with the guy.
Yeah.
And the Joe Mixon thing, there's another one I saw that recently. I mean, it's just there's thing after thing with athletes abusing women. This is just one in a long list of things, and at this point, I just have a tolerance for it. There's just no excuse. You have this. What university it was where they're talking about the sexual assault cases that are being like that were swept under the rug. Was it Minnesota?
I
can't remember where it was.
Also Baylor.
We had sexual assault. Like, there's two of them. Like there's two of them. Like,
there's definitely more than two.
To this point, right? Exactly. But I'm just saying that just like it's like at this point, zero tolerance, man. I can't. You have no defense. Just like Joe Mixon. Hey, maybe he's moved on. Maybe we give him credit. Hey, maybe he's doing better now. Hey, that's fucking great. Dude, for the rest of your life, at least for now, you're gonna at least for the next few years, because the way I was out on last Friday, and quietly in the background there was like the NFL Network was playing like Mike Vick a football story, and I was just getting so angry because I knew eventually they were gonna get to the dog part, and I wasn't listening to it, but I could just see the part going on. I saw these people protesting, and it hit me. I'm like, yo, Mike Vick has had to do more work to convince people to give him a second chance over these fucking dogs than any man who has raped or abused a woman in the NFL or NBA has ever had to fucking do.
Right.
You will see more people talk about give Ray Rice a chance, give Joe Mixon a chance, give what was the nigga from the Cowboys? Oh,
Greg
God.
Hardy, bitch ass.
Greg Hardy. Give Greg Hardy a like, there were so many people ready to give, and I guarantee you there was no line of people outside the stadiums, protesting these folks. But for Mike Vick and the Dogs, there were. And at this point, I'm sorry, I got to give a zero tolerance to this shit until we can actually have an adult conversation and people can actually treat it right. Because right now, they don't. They find every excuse of why, oh, well, he's a child. Motherfucker.
Well, and I know a lot of our audience is listening to this conversation because I kind of know our listeners. And you're nodding. You're saying, yeah, this is right. Kriss and D. Palmer right on. I want you to stop for a second and think about why are we just saying it's athletes? Because it's not. This is our society.
Oh, yeah.
This is people want to, and it's so easy for us to scapegoat athletes because they're so public and it's so front page news. This shit happens every day across the strata. Women are shit on in this country constantly. The reason we get to harp on it for sports is because maybe, just maybe, if a high profile case gets treated with some fucking severity that it deserves, maybe, just maybe, attitudes down the line will change and prevail.
No bullshit. I really think that a lot of people who excuse athletes for this shit or celebrities for this shit, they do it because they want the same excuse when it's their fucking turn.
Or they know someone or it's too close to them.
I literally had a dude, I called him a jackass because of his comments on this issue, and he wanted to fight me. He basically threatened to show up to my house the next time he was in PG County, show up to my house and fight me because I called him a jackass. And I was like, yo, I rest my case. You're already going to violence.
What the fuck?
You're going to violence to fight a stranger because he called you a jackass on the internet. And I said I don't respect your opinion. You want to fight me physically. Now imagine what you would do. And again, I'm a guy. You don't know. You don't know if I have a weapon. You don't know what I've been trained to do. You don't know nothing, but you're already threatening to show up.
Gets in cages and fights motherfuckers.
You have no idea what I can do, but you're willing to show. So imagine what that person would do to a woman who backtalked him. And you immediately see, if you're not a woman beater yourself, you have women beater fucking mentality.
Right.
Like you might not be bold enough to strike a woman, and you might have enough common sense to know that if you strike a woman, you might go to jail, but you think about it.
Yeah, but the impulse is there.
The impulse is there. And I'm like, this is why I can't let this shit slide. Because, like you said, it's not just athletes. But if we can't even you're literally watching a man break a woman's face on video, then walk away because he knows he was fucking wrong. Again, people are like, it was self-defense. Dude, if I break somebody's face off self-defense, I'm standing there waiting for the cops, and when the cops show up and be like, I fucking did it. Self-defense. Dude, Kriss, he broke that one's face and walked out of he knew he was fucking wrong.
You know the biggest indictment? He's not defending his fucking actions. Why the fuck are you?
Dude, that's the other thing too. It's like, when he's like, I was definitely wrong on that one. Shouldn't have done that.
I read the transcript from the press conference. He says, full responsibility, apologize, and apologize profusely over 30 times.
Right. You're making more.
Why are you?
Right. Oh no, I just think it's wrong that. No, it's not. No, he's doing the right thing. You should follow suit. You know,
want to be like him when he hit the woman. Be like him now.
Exactly. But that's not what they want. They want to be that. Yeah, I like, so it's one of those things that my next step going into 2017 is now I got to make sure I'm going to keep calling this shit out when I see it. But at this point now, I have to start unfollowing friends and frat brothers and family, stuff like that.
I lost friends over this shit, and I'm cool with that because if you are this type of guy, we're not friends. We couldn't have really been friends.
I mean, at this point, I can't. Like, it's one thing when I'm dealing with somebody who's like 25 and younger. I'm like, okay, you need to be taught that everything you've learned up to this point
is horseshit.
Is probably wrong. Right. But when I'm dealing with people I went to college with, I'm like, nigga, you should know better by now. Like, this might be some shit we thought when we were in college, but now you know better. And when you're still 34, 35, fucking 40, 45, 50, and you're still talking this shit, oh no, I can't do that. And people are like, oh, well, why can't we just respectfully have a difference of opinion? I'm like, because your difference of opinion gets women hurt and killed. I can't. That's not the same thing. If we agree to disagree, about how good Transformers of a movie is, nobody really gets hurt.
Hold on. That was
The only person that gets hurt is D-Palm, you know? But like when you're literally going, and I think that's the thing I had to point out to people. I'm like, you know, Joe Mixon learned this from somebody.
Right.
You know? You learn, like, he didn't have somebody telling him, yo, no matter what, yo, you can't do this. And he's having to learn the hard way. If more and more of you people with these difference of opinions stop having those differences of opinions, maybe these young men like Joe Mixon wouldn't be in this fucking situation to begin with. You know, at some point I do blame them because you should know better.
Yeah.
But I also blame all the people around him who didn't tell him. It's like we talk all this shit about respect for women and do this, do that, and do that. But then when it comes up, well, you know, when she wants to fight like a man, you gotta treat her like a man. Like, how do you reconcile that shit with what you're saying there?
100%.
It doesn't make any sense. So, yeah.
100%,
Fuck them people.
This weekend is New Year's Eve. We'll talk about that later on. But it also is the first round of the college football playoffs. I have extolled what's the opposite of virtue? The vices of the playoff system here. And I'm not going to do it again right now, but I'm going to talk about the games. Alabama's playing at 3 o'clock against Washington in Atlanta. That means all those Alabama fans are going to be in my city, and none of the Washington fans because they ain't traveling for this shit because it's college football and it's in Washington. Alabama is going to stomp out Washington. I'm not really going to preview that one. The close game, the tight game, the interesting game is going to be in the University of Phoenix Stadium. And Kriss, I want you to note this because the sponsor change this year, the PlayStation Fiesta Bowl.
No, well, that's...
But don't pay the kids, you assholes. I hate everybody.
Right. I was just about to say that. It's like, oh, wow, you're getting sponsored by some PlayStation. But
kids.
Well, we just don't have the money to give to the kids. Okay. Fucking assholes.
Clemson safety Jadar Johnson was available for media this week, and he said something that is being touted as controversial. He said, and I quote, "We have played better quarterbacks than him," referring to Ohio State quarterback J.T. Barrett. "I'm not taking anything away from him. I don't think he's a bad player. He's definitely a good player, but he does not stand out as the best quarterback that we have played this year." Now, while some may point at that to be bulletin board material, we have to take into account that the young man's right. I'm sorry. Look, like, maybe it is shade. It doesn't make it a lie. Because this is a Clemson team that beat the Heisman winner Lamar Jackson, that beat Virginia Tech's Gerard Evans, and beat Pitt's Nathan Peterman, all of whom threw for more touchdowns and had higher passer efficiency than J.T. Barrett. I just want to make sure people know that, yes, that was probably a little bit of shade, and I, for one, celebrate that on this show. However, he's not wrong.
Hey, facts are facts. I know we live in the Trump's America and shit soon, but I mean, can we still hold on to some facts? I mean, facts are still facts. Not post-truth yet.
Post-truth. Oh, post-truth. Man, and the thing about it is, I'm interested in this game. I want to watch this game, but because of everything I'm going to rant about later, I won't get to. College football. If you're going to do this, can we get it off New Year's Eve? Like, what are we doing?
We're going to talk about this later, but even the UFC was like, yeah, we're not doing that.
Yeah, we're not going to waste everyone's time with this. Because okay, I'm not doing New Year's Eve right now. That's on the list. Damn it.
Right.
Chris, I was talking earlier, you didn't catch any Christmas Day NBA. I got to tell the listeners, this is the time. This is the moment when, if you've been a casual watcher like I have, if you haven't really deep dove it like you should have, this is the time to jump in. I tweeted out my free Christmas Day gambling advice. If gambling were illegal, every year there are 5 NBA Christmas Day games. 3 of those 5 games will not hit the over because their players are tired. The ones who are traveling don't want to be there because they're away from their families, and the ones who are at home don't want to be there because they're away from their families. The scores will drop. I believe 4 or 5 went under this year. Take my advice, win some money if gambling were legal. Now, in missing NBA on Sunday, Chris, you missed the first time Cleveland and Golden State locked horns since the finals, where I think, yep, that's right. Let me check my notes. Yes, Golden State blew a 3-1 lead.
Did they? I didn't know they blew a 2-1 lead.
I
Interesting.
saw this the next day. The front page of the Cleveland Sports section said, Cleveland or Warriors blow a 3-1 lead, and they had it cross out and say an 8-point lead. Sorry, force of habit.
Listen, look, man, I liked watching the Golden State last year and beat the Bulls record and things like that, and I like that team. But the Cavs have become my new 96 Bulls in the fact that they are so fucking petty. Like, dude, I didn't see the fucking game, but I did see the poster they had outside of the locker room of the Warriors. Nigga, listen.
Okay, for those who don't know what we're talking about, the Cavs. Okay, so what happened was 2 years ago in the finals, the Warriors beat the Cavs. The next Christmas Day, they had a home game at Cleveland against the Warriors. Steph Curry was interviewed going into that game. He said, "What do you think about being back here in Cleveland?" He says, "I hope the locker room still smells like champagne." Now, fast forward to this year. Games in Cleveland. Steph does not have such concerns about the smell of the locker room because they blew a 3-1 lead. But there's a poster outside the visitor's locker room. It's been framed and fixed so you cannot avoid it as you walk to the visitor locker room. It is a picture of the block that LeBron put on Andrew Iguodala where he came out of nowhere. But there's been a slight edit. Now, I don't know how familiar our listeners are with the game of basketball. You generally don't wear much jewelry when playing. Someone, in their endless petty fucking wisdom in the Cavaliers front office, had photoshopped in the Cleveland Cavaliers championship ring on LeBron's left hand.
My nigga, listen.
Here for it.
Nigga, listen.
Let's have these two things play on Christmas forever.
Listen. All right. This shit is the greatest shit ever. All right. I even love the fact that their championship ring, isn't their championship ring, like, doesn't it mark the 3-1?
There's 3 rubies and then a diamond and then 1 ruby. It's because of the pettiest organization in sports, and I am here for it. Look, people say that they say these players have been playing AAU for years, they're too friendly, they're too buddy-buddy, ignoring the fact that Isaiah and Magic used to kiss before games. You want a rivalry?
This is it, man.
2 teams who just plain don't like each other?
I needed this, man. Listen, I haven't been watching a lot of NBA or a lot of NFL, to be perfectly honest. And you know what? I realized what it was. This. I missed this. That the 2 teams that fucking hate each other.
No, and they're the best 2 teams in the league. That's the best.
And they're the
best 2, and they hate each other.
Because I hate the things like when it's like Steelers versus Baltimore, and I'm like, who the fuck cares? Or like when it's the Redskins versus the Cowboys, and like one of them's always good. These last few years has been the Cowboys, and they've only been just good enough. This is a different year, but it doesn't fucking matter. Like, I'm tired of seeing that. I want to see this, where they're the 2 best fucking teams in the league, and even better, they're in different divisions,
right?
And it's just so you don't get them all the time, and there's a good chance they're gonna come back to the finals again. And yes, like I remember those times when it was always Bulls and Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals. There was that one time when it was the Lakers versus who was it? Lakers versus Sacramento, like 3-4 years in a row, and it's just like the same teams, and it's always just the bad blood is there.
Dallas and San Antonio.
Fucking the Bulls in Utah. Like, I miss that shit, man. Where it's just like, fuck it, if they die, they die. You know,
it's just.
I'm there for it,
and
man.
people say they miss that in sports. This was it, guys. Warriors-Cavs is one with the bullet. Best rivalry in sports right now.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I'm there for it. I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
There was so just so you guys know, normally the NFL abdicates Christmas Day to the NBA. Just so there's no basketball games on Thanksgiving, NBA gets Christmas Day in return. This year, through just calendars, Christmas fell on a Sunday. So the majority of football games are played on Saturday night or Monday, and there are only 2 on Sunday, but one involved Ravens-Steelers, like you mentioned, and that game made no sense to me.
Oh, God. The Ravens make no sense. No, listen, and you're going to have some people that are going to hate me, because I live in Maryland, so they're going to assume that I'm supposed to, love either the Redskins or the Ravens, and let's be honest here, they both suck. Like, here's the thing. Even when the Ravens win a Super Bowl, they still suck. Like, the Ravens are that team that win a Super Bowl, you're like, wait, how? How did that happen? They won a Super Bowl? Really? Like, it's just, they're terrible. They've always been terrible. They really have. They look out into shit, and you're just like, how do we even get here?
And because the division's so weird, they always end up even going into the game Sunday, there was a way for them to make the playoffs. Mm-hmm. The game was tight up. These two teams, whatever, they have the history, and I don't think it's as bad as people say it is, but they are very physical games. They're very physical teams. A lot of great hits, a lot of big plays. The game came down to I think it was a third down, and the Steelers had no timeouts left, so there were about 12 seconds on the clock, and Ben Roethlisberger connected over the middle, short of the goal line. So conventional wisdom says that, oh no, the Ravens hold on to win. Not on Sunday. They find a way over the goal line and push the Steelers in the playoffs. We're going to talk about next week, I think, the fact that this is probably the weakest AFC slate coming into the playoffs ever. Like, the Steelers are going to be the 2 seed, and their defense couldn't stop you and me.
Right.
Like, I honestly don't know how this is going to happen. Like, I don't know what deal Bill Belichick made with the devil, but it was worth it. Derek Carr broke his leg. The Steelers can't stop anyone. And then you've got Steelers' great legend, Terry Bradshaw, taking shots in the media. He said, long story short, he said of Mike Tomlin, great cheerleader, not a coach. Now, Mike Tomlin, his close physical resemblance to Omar Epps notwithstanding, is a great coach. A great coach. He has rings.
Right.
He's a great coach. He's also way smarter than Terry Bradshaw. I'm going to read the response to you, verbatim, and I'll explain at the end why the end's the greatest burn you've ever read. I appreciate the support, but criticism and critique are very much a part of our business, and it's an element of our business that, as a competitor, I embrace. The term great is something that I have a great deal of respect for. I certainly don't think that my resume to this point reads as great. He's wrong. He's being humble. But very few coaches' resumes read that at this point. Guys like Bill Belichick in New England can probably say that, or Greg Popovich down in San Antonio. Both those are very accurate. Those are great coaches. But I think the rest of us are just working stiffs, to be quite honest with you. Now, that being said, terms like cheerleader, and here's where the shade is. Terms like cheerleader guy, to me, maybe fall outside the bounds of critique or criticism. They probably fall more into the area of disrespect and unprofessional. But what do I know? I grew up a Dallas fan, particularly a Hollywood Henderson fan. For those of you who don't know your NFL history, Terry Bradshaw was headed into the Super Bowl against the Cowboys. Hollywood Henderson said that Terry Bradshaw couldn't spell cat if he spotted in the C or in the A. Ladies and gentlemen, shade.
Listen.
It's amazing.
First of all, Terry, now is the time to come for black folks. All right, so just
of all the times, man.
So of all the times you can try to come for black folk,
And Terry, it's not like this. It's not like they're not winning. They're going to the fucking playoffs again. The 2 seed.
Right. And far be it for me to even defend the Steelers on this one, but you ain't coming for Omar Epps. You ain't. We ain't doing that shit. All right. Secondly, listen. This burn was so good.
It was so pure. You can tell he felt that shit. Like, I'm more of a Dallas man myself.
Right.
Hollywood Henderson, perhaps. He's a quarterback.
Yo, he snatched what left of Terry Bradshaw's hair. Yo, snatch some boulder, yo. Oh man, so good.
That was the day we all learned: don't fuck with Mike Tomlin. Or we're all reminded because he keeps James Harrison in check, so something's up. Saturday we saw a rash of broken legs. Tyler Lockett of the Seahawks broke his leg catching and holding on to a touchdown pass, which, by the way, you break my leg, I'm dropping the ball.
Yeah,
that's just how that's going to work.
Yeah,
yell at me later if you want to. He broke my leg.
Deal is off, guys.
Deal's off, bro. Get me off this field. Marcus Mariota of the Titans and Derek Carr of the Raiders broke his leg. Carr was having a great year. It does open up for a former client of mine, Matt McGloin, to step in and maybe do some things. Let's see what happens there. But I think you saw a pretty good meme about this, the Raiders.
Yeah, it was something about how, sucks when it was like when you're on the way to the playoffs but your car breaks down.
Now,
listen. All right, that's evil.
I can't draw the line, the level of petty I'm allowed on this podcast. I'm not going to start here, but I don't generally joke about injuries. That's funny.
Yeah, I couldn't help myself. I couldn't help myself.
We're not saying, we're glad he got hurt. We're saying, hey, his last name is Carr, and we're going to make this joke.
Mm-hmm. It was petty as fuck. I'm not going to lie. And it was good, and it was hilarious.
Speaking of petty and hilarious, the Browns got a win. So
I'm actually not celebrating that.
So if the 72 Dolphins pop champagne when the last undefeated team wins, what year was it? The 07 Lions who went 0-16? Do they just pop like Mad Dog?
Yeah. Yeah, man. I'm not gonna lie, man. I'm a little upset. I kind of like it. Like I like when teams break records, like with Golden State did. But I even like it when the bad teams break records too, and just show how terrible they are. I kind of wanted that to happen, man.
It was the 08 Lions. Person. I apologize to the 07 Lions, who I apparently was just stiffing there. The 08 Lions, who hey, they were a team who lost every game they fucking played. It's never gonna not be funny to me. John Kitna was a starting quarterback at one point. They fired a CEO in the bye week 4. Like, it's the perfect storm of horrible football. It's statistically improbable to do that. And the fact that the Browns flirted with it, I guess you've got to tip your cap to inadequacy. It's an embarrassment. Other crazy things happening in the NFL this week. We're going to talk about them in a second. We've got Rich Fan from BuffaloWins.net on talking about the Bills situation right now. And we're back. We've got Rich on the line here from Buffalo Wins. You remember he came on and talked Survivor Series with us. Today he's talking about the emerging narratives and kind of the craziness that's happening in Buffalo, New York. In case you've been living under a rock all week, Buffalo Bills parted ways with Rex Ryan. And in every headline, they also mentioned they fired Rob, which I thought was interesting. I kind of get that they would fire the twins together, but putting them both in the headline felt weird to me. Just people who don't know about the impact of this. He's still got 3 years left on this deal. It's a 5-year deal worth $5.5 million a season. They're walking away. I think it's now 17 seasons without making the playoffs for the Bills. They haven't had a coach last more than 3 years since '97. Rich, what's up, man? What happened?
Well, I mean, the biggest thing is the Bills, from top to bottom, are an organization that has prided itself on tradition. But as you mentioned, when you have 17 years of not making the playoffs, that kind of needs to go away.
Yeah,
so when Rex came in, he was but Rex came in as the big free agent name because the Jets had just fired him. The Pagulas had just bought the team and had Doug Marrone walk out the door on them. So they needed someone, and their president, Russ Brandon, former Marlins executive, decided to sell them on Rex to the point where he texted Rex Ryan, "They like red wine, bring it to the dinner." And at the point, and this is insane to me because at that point in the process, they had decided the night before to hire Hugh Jackson.
Really?
And Rex came in, had this dinner with them, and instantly swept off their feet, signed him.
Well, that's wild. That story's wild, but it's even wilder that 2 years into his tenure, that's a known story.
Yeah. Well, that was something that was known when he was signed.
Wow.
That was something that was a cute aside that Michael Silver mentioned because Michael Silver from NFL.com is a big proponent and has been for Hugh Jackson. Personally, I am as well. I thought he got a bum deal in Oakland and needed more time. Mm-hmm. And so when I read that, I was livid because I love Hugh Jackson. I mean, I just talked to my buddy about the idea that I always took offense when people would call Raheem Morris radio. And it's funny that the guy, who people didn't think could coach his way out of a paper bag, went from defensive backs coach to head coach to now coaching the wide receivers on the Washington football team. And they're having one of their best years. And, that's an aside. Same thing with Hugh Jackson. He coached the DBs for a year in Cincinnati just to hang out with his buddy Marvin Lewis and then became offensive coordinator again.
Right.
It's, so that guy could coach. I wanted him on the Bills. And then basically what happened is you had a bunch of billionaires do something that owners typically don't do. and that's take responsibility that it was their decision and not an underling. Typically in this situation, you'd see the GM take the fall because it was like, well, you should have led me down the road better. But Doug Whaley was in a very precarious situation at the time the Pegulas hired him because, as I said before, Buffalo's big on tradition. So there were a lot of people in the area who wanted Bill Polian to come back or to have a deal where Polian and his son would take over as like the chosen one afterward, to which I wanted to throw up. And so they realized, hey, we made this decision. Doug didn't make the decision. We're going to let you, for the first time in your 5.5 years as general manager, hire the head coach that's going to be working with you. Because he also was in the same situation where the owner died and the owner's designee was the president of the team, who basically was de facto GM, owner, and grand poobah. Right. So, for me, seeing a black general manager in a position where he really never had a chance to own his team, so to speak, I thought it was a bad bill of goods. So when the Pegulas realized Rex was more substance or flash than substance, they canned him. Because the Bills, I don't know if you did a really good job with the research there. The Bills had the 4th ranked defense when Jim Schwartz left in 2013. Right. They're somewhere around in the 20s right now, and they have not done anything other than crater in almost every major statistical category. A team that averages 24 points or more a game shouldn't allow 27 points a game in losses.
Well, you bring up a good point, because let's be honest, when they brought in Rex, and I'm not speaking for you, but I'm speaking for the Buffalo, the zeitgeist, the kind of the personality of the fan base, it kind of took on and mirrored that of Rex Ryan, kind of boisterous and bold and a lot of excitement. And you started to see the Buffalo tailgate videos start to happen. I don't know if you know this, there's a very large Buffalo contingent of people living in Atlanta, and for some reason, probably fault of my own moral failings, they've become my friends. So I am acutely aware of the hope that he brought to the region. How did it turn so sour? Because I had people in my face this year talking about playoffs.
The biggest thing that they went sour on was his greatest asset, which was the defense. Rex is a guy who's 3-4, multiple defensive front. From the time I started coaching or even thought about wanting to coach, I fell in love with Rex's defense because I would watch, I still have on VHS tape in my basement, Colts-Ravens games where it was Peyton Manning just audibling like a madman and Ray Lewis doing the same thing, shifting the defense. And when I saw that and saw Rex Ryan was the guy who kind of organized that with Ray, I fell in love. When you fast forward that 10, 15 years, that sort of defense in a no-huddle, fast-paced NFL is a little obsolete because of the fact that you don't have the time to check to 5 different checks. You might have 1 or 2. I know at the high school level we might have 1 or 2. At the pro level you might have more. But as Marcel Darius mentioned, they had like 9 checks to make in a game if someone audibled or moved a player. And You're not allowing your defense to think. I mean, you are allowing them to think too much. When you look at what Schwartz did.
Thinking before they're reacting.
Exactly. And you know how well that's going to work for a defensive player.
Yeah, you got to play fast.
And so that was the biggest.
100 miles an hour, so you keep things simple. Was it a complexity issue with Rex that you think didn't translate defensively, or was it a fit? Because I've heard the contention made that he is truly his father's son and that he has his best as a defensive coordinator.
He will never admit that, but that's also the case.
Okay. That's fair. I mean, you've lived with him for 2 years. I wanted to do an eye on your appraisal. It looked like if they won this last game, he could have gone 500. Do you think this was the owners pulling the plug too soon, or do you think this was the right move?
No. Any coach that's gone six years in a row in the modern NFL without making the playoffs doesn't need to be a coach anymore. Because remember, 4 years prior.
Mark Sanchez. I can never take it away from him.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing with Rex was, as great as he was as a person, here's one of the first things I figured out about Rex, and that was the chink in the armor that kind of made me a little queasy. On the defensive staff right now for the Bills, their outside linebacker coach, his name is Jeff Weeks. Jeff Weeks was Rex's friend at school. Jeff was the ladies' man, kind of like, the man about pound. So the more quiet at the time, Rex saw him as like his Fonzie or his like all that is cool in the world. Right. And so they became best friends. And he's basically, I try not to be blunt about it, but I called him his support human in terms of coaching, because everywhere he's gone, he's brought this guy, and he's not a good coach. to the point where they had to book collision low crossers about his time with the Jets. His defensive coordinator, Mike Pettin, had to force him to fire Weeks because he was like, I'm the defensive coordinator and this guy doesn't know the defense. Why is he my defensive line coach?
Right.
So Rex finally gave up, fired him. Pettin went to the Bills to become defensive coordinator, then head coach of the Browns. Lo and behold, when he comes to the Bills, Rex hires Jeff Weeks as defensive line coach and then moves him to outside linebackers. And so it's a guy who doesn't know how to coach.
It's a little bit too loyal.
Yeah, a little too loyal. And at times he's a little too arrogant. Like you said, he's his father's son. My defense is going to work come hell or high water. You know, the Bills lost several veterans this offseason to the Eagles to go with Schwartz. And the Eagles defense had a remarkable resurgence despite the struggles of their rookie quarterback.
Right.
And the Bills had holes in their defense, which were created solely because those guys didn't want to run the defense Rex wanted to run.
All right, one more question before we get out of here. Anthony Lynn looks like he's going to be the interim coach for the last game of the season. He said they called him the interim coach, but they took a big decision out of his hands. And I talked to you about before we started recording. I think it's a cross-section of football and the business of football colliding, and it's really providing some pretty bad images for people to watch as they're forcing Tyrod Taylor to be benched as ownership, and they're starting E.J. Manuel.
Yes. Tyrod signed an extension right before the start of the season that guaranteed him $27.5 million for injury only. It's a team option, so they have until the third day of the league year next year to activate it. But if he were to get hurt week 17, it would be similar to what happened with San Francisco and Kaepernick, where it activated the contract and they were quote unquote stuck with him. Now, I would be more than happy to be stuck with a quarterback that averages 3,000 yards a season, 15, 20 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and probably 5 on the ground with about 600 yards rushing. But a lot of Bills fans need it to be Jim Kelly or a white quarterback that has moxie, and I just can't abide by that. So, yeah, Anthony ran into a situation where, you know, even the local guys filmed practice, the allowed part for media, and Tyrod's just sitting there as the third quarterback now because it will be E.J. Manuel starting, who was a pet project of the general manager, and Cardell Jones as his number 2, who will probably get some snaps as well. So they're treating this like a glorified bowl game.
And they're doing this just to protect the money. Yes.
Meanwhile, and this is the funny part to me, meanwhile, you have your starting receivers, Robert Woods, formerly of USC, and Sammy Watkins, who's their prize, you know, traded a first rounder and a fourth rounder to get. He's been playing for the last 6 weeks on a broken foot. Robert Woods played on a messed up MCL. Their tight ends playing on a messed up back, and their other players are, you know, various ailments. Kyle Williams, one of their best players in the last 10 years, is playing with a bulky back. These guys then should look at the general manager and say, hey, I'm going to take a business decision, and I don't need to play in this game either.
I think that's really interesting. Hey, man, thanks for coming on. Appreciate you. You can find Rich talking about the Buffalo Bills at buffalowins.net. You can find his pro wrestling content. He's a co-host of the PW Torches East Coast cast with Travis Bryant and Cameron Hawkins. Rich, really appreciate it. Talk to you later, man.
All right.
All right, and our last NFL news and note for the weekend. Man, so there was a report that Marvin Lewis is going to retire, which, truth be told, I thought it was about time. We're talking about a guy who's been there since, let's just get the record here straight. Since 2003, 2016, he has made the playoffs 7 times and lost in the wild card game 7 times. Like, at this point, I'm convinced he's got pictures of something. Because the rumor that came out was, after a very disappointing season this year, Andy Dalton regressed, A.J. Green got hurt, the defense went to shit, Vontaze Burfict's still a crazy person. They finished their wrapping up the season right now. They stand at 5-9-1. They've announced they're going to deactivate A.J. for the last game. Thank you for protecting his knees. And he said he's going to retire. I thought, well, at least he can have some dignity. He has refuted, saying he's not going to retire. And my question is, how is nobody firing this man? I don't want him. I don't want people to be fired. I don't want black head coaches to be fired. But 13 years, 0 playoff wins? What?
Here's the thing. I believe I've changed. This is my view now on when it comes to black movies and TV shows and directors and things like that. I believe black coaches deserve the chance to be just as terrible is all the white coaches that are terrible and don't get fired.
That's fair.
So good for you. So good for you, Lewis. Keep them checks coming as long as they're gonna pay you, and just make sure those photos you have on whoever you're holding.
Hold on to them tight, Marvin.
Hold on to them tight, man. Just.
I don't get it.
Good for you, sir. Good for you.
Like I said,
he's still coaching?
4 of those games were home games. They won the division 4 times since he's been there, and he's yet to win a playoff game. Which, by the way, I can't wait to bet against. I know I just kind of gassed at Matt McGloin. I can't wait to bet against him. I'm really excited. I'm really excited to bet against him because they're going to be the 2 seed playing in the winner of the wild card round, and they're going to lose that game badly because they don't have a defense, and Derek Carr is actually really fucking good at football. All right, I'm ready to talk about it. New Year's Eve. This is the worst night of the year. It's the worst night of the year. They've ruined college football for me because now I can't even. I'm either going to be the antisocial asshole who's at the bar staring at the TV screen, or I'm going to be an antisocial asshole in someone's house staring at the TV screen. And now, and plus, it's New Year's Eve. It's the amateur hour aspect. It's everyone who doesn't go out every other night of the year is out on this night. Are you a New Year's Eve person?
Not really, especially not like the last few years, man. Matter of fact, at this point, I think I'm planning a movie marathon on that Saturday, and that's about it. And I'll probably be in bed by 10.
I'm staying up. I saw this tweet today. And I thought it was very prescient. I'm staying up till 12:01 just so I can make sure 2016 is dead.
Oh, that's a very.
I want to poke the body. Just
make sure.
We got out okay. We're fine. And beyond that, like this is, and the college football thing just compounds on it because you get all that like kind of weird like even I'm 31. You're not still young enough to be doing the crazy shit, but you're young enough where people are like, "Hey, what are we doing for New Year's Eve?" And my answer is always, "I don't care or no.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to wait in line for drinks.
I don't want to pay $30 for a drink I normally pay $5 for."
Okay, so that's my other thing. So I've never been I'll pay a cover and no. Right. I will pay for an open bar, or I'll go to a bar that I would go to normally and get drinks from people who would normally hand me drinks in front of other people waiting in line because they know me. I'm not going to be the guy who's like, let's go downtown. No, absolutely fucking not. And if you're thinking about doing that, close your eyes and imagine that you loved yourself. And then don't do it.
Yeah. One thing I've realized is I drink too much to go out on New Year's Eve and pay that much for drink. I just can't.
Right.
I go broke.
To get me drunk.
Yeah, it takes way too much, and it's just not fair to me. So.
All right, man. So I know the reason you really wanted to be on is because you wanted to stun on us about what's happening this weekend, right?
Yes. So Ronda Rousey's finally coming back to UFC after losing her title. I think it was last December, wasn't it? It's been a year. Yeah, about a year ago. So she's finally coming back, and we were talking about this before. Even the UFC normally does their end of the year fight on a Saturday, like that last Saturday of January. Even they realize, oh wait, New Year's Eve? Yeah, we're not doing that. So their fight this year is on a Friday, and I'm really interested in seeing how that pays off for them. So we'll see. But yeah, I find the fight with Ronda Rousey, she's fighting Amanda Nunes. I'm really interested in seeing how this goes, man, because I just don't know.
Right, there's a lot of questions because, as we all know, Ronda Rousey was knocked out by Holly Holm, who was pretty much handled by Amanda Nunes.
Oh, actually, no. She was handled by.
Oh, you're right, by Miesha Tate.
By Miesha Tate.
Miesha
Tate got. Well, so this is the other thing that's always interesting to me, and I always find one. I think it shows you how dominant Ronda Rousey is, and for everybody who comes out, like I see people question how good it is. And here's the thing: listen, I'm a huge Ronda Rousey fan because I was always a Ronda Rousey fan. Like, and I hate to be that guy to be like, well, I was there.
I'm a Ronda Rousey hipster.
No. Yeah, no. I was there when she was in Strikeforce. So many people only know Ronda Rousey after she got to the UFC. And I'm like, yo, so they thought that, her attitude and this and all. I'm like, that's always been her. Like, she didn't do it because she was famous. She's always been like the female Nick Diaz to me. Like, the whole big thing going into this fight now is that she has the UFC has made an exception, so she doesn't do press. So she doesn't have to do press, and Amanda Nunes doesn't have to do press leading up to the fight. Which, quite honestly, I honestly think that most of these press obligations should be optional for fighters. If you watch her first, the run up to her first UFC fight, the amount of press they have these fighters do is ridiculous.
It's a distraction, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, these are people that are literally putting their bodies through hell for 12 weeks, sometimes longer than that, for a fight in the week of their fights or some of their biggest fights of their careers. They're up at 5 o'clock in the morning doing press after press, calling into radio, calling into this, doing that. It's fucking absurd. Like, just across the board with athletes, period, I do not think athletes' jobs to sell their fights. That's what you have promoters for. That's what you have organizations for. You don't need the athletes to do this shit. I mean, if they want to do it, fine, but make them do this shit, whatever. And I think the biggest problem for some of these other when it's been before in the UFC is it's always been one-sided. So a fighter won't go to do a press interview, and the other fighter's been doing it. It's like, wait a minute, I'm cutting into my training time too. I got to do this. It's not fair. So then the UFC made a right decision, which is like neither one of them has to do it. And they're not obligated to do it. I think that's how it should go for everyone going forward because I think it's fucking absurd. But anyway, going back to Ronda Rousey, like I think that seeing how much the belt has changed hands since she lost shows you how dominant she was. Right. It shows you that it's not a fluke to go through and win 9 fights in a row and be 9-0 or 10-0. I can't remember what she was before she lost. Like that's not a fluke, and she wasn't going through bums, as people were saying. Oh, there were bumps. No, look, shit. The person who knocked her out got handled by fucking Miesha Tate, and she beat Miesha 2 times easily.
Misha's never had a good fight against Ronda Rousey.
Right, never had a good fight. Like people forget, Ronda Rousey won the belt in Strikeforce by literally twisting Miesha Tate's arm into a fucking pretzel. Yep. And I'm go look the video up. I am not kidding. Her arm literally got dislocated to look like a fucking pretzel. I thought she would never fight again. But it shows you how tough Miesha Tate is. So, yeah, I definitely think that Ronda Rousey has a shot coming back, and hey, she's an athlete. She's tough. But I always thought that she should change her striking coach after the last fight because I think her striking coach is terrible. And Amanda Nunes is a monster. So that it's going to be a really interesting fight, And
that's one of the best things about UFC and MMA in general is that styles make fights. And when you have a run on the top like she had, you had to match up with so many different styles. It's a testament, like you said, to her toughness and her ability and the validity of her run. The styles that are going to clash on Saturday, it's going to be interesting to see because I don't think she's as good a striker as Holm was. Mm-hmm. Is. And I think that's the biggest glaring hole in Ronda's game.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, Holly Holm was a pro boxer. Her footwork is what got her. And I keep telling people, her left kick is dangerous. Like between her left kick and fucking Cowboy Cerrone, they had the 2 most dangerous left kicks in MMA. All right. And that's what she caught Ronda with, and her footwork is what did it. I don't know if Amanda Nunes has that kind of footwork. And if she gets in that clinching battle with Ronda Rousey and Ronda can toss her, we'll see. But Ronda also hasn't really been hit like that in a year. So who knows what's going to happen. But, I'm interested in seeing because I would like to see her. Hey, when you have a dominant champ, it's interesting seeing how they do when they come back, especially when they're in their prime. Like with Anderson Silva. Anderson Silva was already he was on his way out anyway. I mean, man was damn near 40, so makes sense. John Jones has been being stupid, so I can't even count him right now. The best example I have is George St. Pierre when he lost his first fight to Matt Hughes, and then not his first fight, but he lost that championship belt fight to Matt Hughes, and then came back and battled his way back up to being dominant. I'll be interested in seeing if that's the road Ronda goes or if she just comes back and just doesn't have it in her. You won't know until you see her, Yeah. And I'm really excited to see that. But I think it's been a really good and interesting year for the UFC. There's been a lot of belts changing hands, and I think that's I think that's just good. I think I like having dominant champs, having some dominant champs, but I think it's better when you don't have all the divisions having dominant champs. You know.
We'll talk about the rest of the year for a second. I do want to talk about the 207 card for a few more seconds.
Oh yeah.
It's been weird because Cain Velasquez got pulled.
Yeah, what happened with that?
No one knows because he's claiming that he was cleared and then NSAC re-pulled him, and they deemed him unfit to compete. So that's the word on the street. I don't know any details.
Yeah,
at this
because at one point they said he was pulled, and then they right after they said right around that time they showed his coach put out a video of him hitting pads saying he was fine. I don't know. It's been very, very confusing to follow.
It's nuts. And so with that bout off the card, how does the rest of the card shape up for you? Just to run down for people, the main card is going to be Dominic Cruz champion taking on Cody Garbrandt, TJ Dillashaw, John Winkler, Dong-Young Kim and Tarek Safadine, and Louis Smolka and Ray Borg. Obviously the draw is Rousey. Is there any other fight people should be looking out for?
I wouldn't say be looking out for, but here's my thing. And this is why I say it's been a good year for UFC. The cards that people get pulled from and people go, oh, well, no, those have been the most interesting cards. Like, remember when, I think, matter of fact, the last card, it was the light heavyweight championship fight got pulled. Cormier versus Johnson got pulled because Cormier got hurt.
Right.
So we were like, oh, well, I'm not going to buy 206. Listen, that card was fucking amazing. That card was amazing. There were fights you weren't expecting, and people were getting, it was amazing. And I'm looking at the undercard for 207. It's got some interesting fights, like Johnny Hendricks versus Neil Magny. That might be an interesting card, interesting fight. So, I think that here's my thing with UFC fights, especially this year. I haven't watched a pay-per-view that made me go in a long time that made me go, I shouldn't have paid that money for that.
Right.
You know, I definitely think that this is going to be a fun card, even if it's just for the Ronda Rousey fight. See her come back, but you do get 2 championship fights. And to me, Dominic Cruz is always a dominant champ, so he's always good to see him fighting. And so that might be good. And TJ Dillashaw trying to work his way back up.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think there's some good fights on this card. And people should definitely check it out.
I'm definitely interested to see what Dillashaw's got left in the tank as he's trying to kind of reclaim that glory.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's been a weird and kind of interesting year. Like you said, a lot of new starts have been made in this year, but we've also had like the Brock Lesnar fight that was marred by the failed drug test. You had the CM Punk debacle. You have Conor McGregor getting his wig rocked by Nate Diaz, but still finishing out 2-1 on the year. What's the biggest story for you? And then I think the other biggest story, not so much as the fighters, as such as the proposal of the fighting union.
Yeah. I think that to me is the big story of 2016. When it comes to fighters, I think I think it's been great seeing new names come up to the front. Who just won the interim belt for featherweight? What is it? Max Holloway. Great fucking story. You know, he's the only person at 145 that didn't get run through by Conor McGregor. You know, and now he just won the interim belt, and I really want to see that Holloway versus Aldo fight next year. That should be amazing. This guy, he walked through Anthony Pettis, and if you told me that at the beginning of the year, I would have told you were fucking crazy. He walked through Anthony Pettis. Yeah, and Pettis missed weight, so doubly amazing. Cowboy Cerrone at 170, my God, that man is scary. That man's always been scary. He was scary at 155. At 170, he is knocking motherfuckers out.
4-0 this year.
Yeah. And he keeps fighting.
By the way, no decisions.
No decisions, all stoppages, and he keeps wanting to fight. I swear he's going to card in January. He just fought.
Yo, 4 fights in a year is a lot.
Dude.
I didn't know he was 4-0 this year.
Yeah. Especially
at 170.
And he just keeps wanting to fight. So I think that's the thing I've been loving is seeing guys who just love to fight. Neil Magny, who's on this card coming up, I want to say let me look at how many fights Neil Magny's had this year. He might be another one of those 4 or 5 fights this year guys, you know? Seeing that kind of stuff and that hunger from these guys and seeing guys come in, let me see. No, he only had – this will only be his third one this year. Last year's the one he had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He had 5 fights last year in 2015. So it's like I'm really loving that aspect of it and seeing the new blood come in. Hearing that they're going to do a 145 division, even though Cyborg got hit for doping, which is just bad timing for the UFC. So they were going to make a 145 division for her, and no, Ronda Rousey and Cyborg will never ever fight, and you never should. You should never want to see Ronda Rousey do that to herself. Don't get that woman set up like that.
Ronda Rousey will retire before that happens. Which, by the way, as just someone who's out there, I want to throw it out there. She's got very good friends with the McMahons, and I'd like to see her in a ring in Orlando in April. That's all I'm saying. WrestleMania's going to be huge.
Yeah.
So let's talk briefly before we get out here about the Fighters Union. Is this something you think could actually happen?
I think it has to. So I was thinking about this today, and so here's the thing with the UFC and MMA in general when it comes to professional. I think if Bellator and the World Series of Fighting had really gotten their shit together and become legit competition for the UFC, maybe a fighter union and fighter association might not be needed, right? Because then you'll have fighters who are able to literally go between companies and go to someone who's offering them more money and can do more things. The problem is Bellator and World Series of Fighting is doing okay. Just nobody knows about it. Bellator is a fucking joke. Bellator, everybody focuses on the UFC and how terrible the UFC is, blah, 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 and to their fighters. Bellator literally takes the UFC's leftovers and uses them to promote over their own really good bench of young fighters.
Every time I watch a Bellator card, I'm like, why is the undercard so good in the main? It feels like, I don't know, it just feels like they if they put the time and effort into signing these names, into promoting the names they have, they can really build something.
They should have long time ago. Like, they lost Will Brooks to the UFC, who was, I think at one point was their champion, because he was just like, he was fed up with it. Like, it was so fucking ridiculous. Like, I think they're still promoting some Tito Ortiz versus Chael Sonnen pay-per-view fight coming up soon. What the fuck? Who wants to see that shit? Like, neither one of these dudes are any relevancy in MMA today. Hell, they haven't been relevant in MMA in a long fucking time. Why are they headlining a card and not some of your really good under? So it's like Bellator's not getting their shit together. They're too busy focusing on basically, and I hate to say this, the WWE type promotions of doing this ridiculous over the top selling point in these fucking stupid ass fucking matches, you know. Then they're actually doing, promoting and cultivating their young fighters.
Well, that's the crazy thing is I was talking about this to another friend who is a UFC and wrestling fan like I am, and he said it perfectly to me. It feels like mid-90s WCW where they just take old WWF names and put them in their main events, but our undercard is so much better and more talented.
No, that's exactly what it is.
Exactly. You just write it. What talent would do, honestly, would leave WCW, go to WWF, build a name, and then come back and get paid more money because they were just going to be guaranteed money.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah. And Bellator signs all these really good free agents, but when you look at their free agents, you're like, oh wait, but you were on the way out. They signed, I think, was it Roy McDonald at one point, and I'm like, yeah, well, you really weren't doing shit in the UFC now anyway. They got Ben Henderson, and I'm like, well, Ben, you ain't been relevant in the 155 division in UFC for a while either. So it's like what are we doing here? Like, so it didn't really matter. So I think with all that said, because those other organizations are not challenging the UFC, the fighters have to do this. They have to at some point band together and find a way to protect themselves, because at this point it's no longer UFC is getting out is now become synonymous with MMA. If you're going to be an MMA fighter, a pro MMA fighter, your goal is to get to the UFC. Just like if you're trying to be a pro football player, you're trying to get to the NFL. Right. Yeah, there are other pro football leagues out there, but the NFL is that fucking league.
No one grew up wanting to play in the CFL.
Exactly. So if that's how the UFC is going to be going forward, and again, this is the UFC is still in its infancy as this big, mainstream MMA sport outlet. We're still people kind of forget that this is still kind of new. If we're going to do this, then the fighters got to do this. They got to band together. They got to find some things. I think the UFC has been trying to do some right things, but at the end of the day, they're a business. They're going to look out for themselves. So the fighters do need to come together, and I think it's right. And they have big names backing them in the fighters. They have Donald Cerrone. They have GSP. They have these guys who are there I think Cain Velasquez is one of the guys too. It was like, so they have these big, so it's not just some names you don't know. These are big, heavy hitters in the MMA world, in the UFC world, that I think will matter, and I think that's good for them. Let them, get more benefits, get more money, bring that revenue sharing from 8% to 50%. Something amount. Yeah, it's a ridiculous amount, And as much as we sit there and say, hey, they're the only game in town, hey, you got to give these guys some money. Like, start paying them. If you're going to force guys into these contracts, and again, I think that for all the shit the media gives them, and MMA media can be really, really fucking terrible. Like, they were complaining that the UFC wasn't doing anything about the sponsorship deal, about how some guys would get a lot of sponsors and other guys wouldn't. So UFC then goes out and makes this Reebok deal, and does that, and they're still complaining about it. It's like, you guys aren't offering any solutions to this. There's no good solution here.
Right.
The only other thing to do is for the fighters to band together and do this and have a fighters association and have some kind of way that they can renegotiate and get right and have a voice. Like, honestly, I think the UFC is making enough money from these events, and they put on so many events now. There's no reason why you can't pay a base salary to all these fighters.
Whatsoever.
Pay a base salary, at least so these guys can feed their fucking families. At the very least, I'm going to do that because it's literally, as somebody, I'm not a pro fighter. I mean, I've had 2 amateur Muay Thai fights, but I know what I went through to get prepared for those fights. And let me tell you, training camp is fucking brutal. All right, it is fucking terrible. And most of these guys, if they're not the higher ups, are probably working full time. Like, I remember when Liz Carmouche fought Ronda Rousey. That was a big come up for her because I think she was still working full time. She was training out of a gym that was basically a garage. Like, it's like a lot of these fighters aren't working aren't making millions of dollars. They're not fighting at the top notch gyms or anything like that. They're not doing that. They're literally scraping by. So I think it's right for them to come together and get what's owed to them. I mean, there's enough help out there. I honestly, I think it's also time for Dana White to take a step back, I think
his ego won't allow that to happen.
Well, it won't, but I think that you needed a Dana White to really sell this event mainstream. It's now gotten to the point where now, like, Dana is that time. Like, it just is. I mean, first of all, he's saying dumb shit. He was saying that Conor McGregor is the best pound-for-pound fighter, and that motherfucker's name is not Demetrius Johnson. So, no, he is not the best pound-for-pound fighter in the UFC. Give me a fucking break, all right? And you know what? As much as he's fucking up, John Jones is still on your fucking payroll, so shut the fuck up. It's not Conor McGregor, all right? So, yeah.
Well, Kriss, thanks for coming on, man. Thanks for talking everything. Joe Mixon all the way to MMA. You guys can follow Kriss at Insanity Report. If you're following me, you're probably following him. He's the editor-in-chief of the Chair Network, Insanity Check, Super Tuesday, Character Corners, and he will put Hotep Civil Wars in your timeline. So just be careful about that shit when you follow him.
I did not do that.
Yes,
that was not my fault. It's not my fault.
You can follow the show at UDPalm on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter at DPalm66. Make sure you subscribe to the show in the iTunes Store. Leave a 5-star review. It will be read on the air. That was your show. This is your outro. See you next week.